everyone. Welcome back to the Nonprofit Diaries, where we share the stories that don't make the newsletter. I'm your host, Kimberly Bottom. Our guest this week probably doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway. If you have heard the term fractional in the nonprofit space, you've heard the name Cindy Wagman alongside of it. Cindy spent nearly 20 years as a fundraising professional who experienced what all too many people in this industry experience, which is a deep passion for service that led to overcommitment and burnout. But instead of being defeated by it, Cindy changed the game. She founded the nonprofit Fractionals Network. In her own words, she helps seasoned professionals turn their hard-won experience into fulfilling, flexible consulting roles as fractional executives. She is a no-nonsense businesswoman with a big heart and a generous spirit. I love how fiercely she supports women from the organizations that she's worked at to how she shows up in our industry, online and in person. And over her tenure in fundraising, y'all, she's got some stories. This is why she's here today. Cindy, welcome and thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. And that's by far my favorite intro I've ever received.
Oh, yeah, I'm so glad. I'm just so glad that you're here because we've chatted. You've got some I say crazy stories. You know, in the moment, I think everybody that's on the podcast is sort of slightly reliving a bit of trauma, right? Because these were not easy things in the moment. But I love how you flipped the narrative, and instead of, like you said, slinking away, you said, "No, I'm gonna do this on my own terms," and then the way that you help professionals do that as well. But let's start with your diary entry. This is a good one. Yeah, she knows. Okay, so one of the reasons you became your own boss is because some of the bosses you've had haven't been great, right? So we had chatted about this. You were at a nonprofit and you were doing great work and you had planned to ask for a little bit of a pay increase. I'm going to leave it at that and let you take it from here.
I will, yes. So, I had been in the organization for maybe a year and a half, something, things were going well, right? Like I feel like by all accounts, I was performing well. And so I booked a time with my boss to talk about a promotion. In the meantime, we had a donor meeting together. It was a corporate donor, and we had to go out to their offices, which were out kind of in the boons, like our work offices were downtown. And so we had to drive out to near the airport. And my boss doesn't drive or didn't drive. And so I drove because I had a car, all that good stuff. This is back in the day, and we had like a little rinky-dink car. It was a Toyota Echo. It was small. We had manual locks. Like you had to literally roll up the window and
Oh,
roll down the
yes. I
window
remember those
with a
days.
little crank. Yeah. So we got in the car, went there, had the donor meeting. And on the way back, my boss said to me, "Well, why don't we just talk about the meeting that we have scheduled now? We have this time together in the car." So I was not prepared and focused on driving
Right,
with
exactly.
her in the passenger seat. And because I think all of us are people pleasers, I said yes.
Yeah.
I was like, of course we can talk about it now. I'm a team player.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah. So while we're driving on the highway, um, I don't remember the exact conversation. I'm sure my brain just like blocked that out, but I remember asking her for a raise, and her response was not great. It wasn't a no. And again, I don't remember word for word, but the feeling was kind of like, um, almost like, really, are you asking for this now? Prove to me that you earned it. That's what I remember. It was a while ago, so memory's not perfect, but I remember this feeling of, okay, not great, like, come back to me with, like, more evidence and, maybe you haven't been here long enough. So I let it go. But I was totally discombobulated and just kind of like, okay, just drop her off, get her home, go home. So I get home, and by the time I like get out of the car and lock my door, I'm done. I'm like completely just in my zone. Forget about the day, right? Like, I don't know, probably had a drink or something like
Yeah,
that.
your body is trying to protect itself. It's like, just forget
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. Exactly. So I wake up the next morning and go to the car. I live in downtown Toronto. We have street parking, so no parking spots. So I go to the car where I think the car is parked. I'm like, Where's the car? It's not here." And so it's not uncommon for it to be somewhere else along the street. So I'm walking up and down the street being like, "Where is the car? Where's the car?" And at that point, I don't even think we had the, like, locks that would beep. You know
Oh,
how
so you
now if I
can
can't find, yeah.
yeah.
So I'm, like, walking around being like, "Okay, the car is not here." And what happens,
Toad?
I
Hopefully.
nope. So I forgot to check that her door was locked when she left the car. And so I left it unlocked by accident. And overnight, it sounds like some like high school kids, they kind of like walk down the street checking all the doors.
Yep.
So they like opened our car and took it for a joyride, and it ended up halfway across town. And the police found it, but they had stolen it.
So wait a minute, it was her side that was unlocked?
Hmm.
Okay, now she has to give you the raise, if only to pay for it.
I well, I mean, we got the car back, so
Yeah.
but then we were kinda like I felt like the car was cursed. I was like, "I don't even want this car anymore." I was kinda hoping we'd just get a replacement, but no, they found it.
Oh.
But, I don't even think I told her. I was like I just at the end of the day, like, I was the one who left it unlocked or didn't check. But yeah, I feel like we kinda eat these things, right? We're kinda just
Yes.
like, I'll take it on for everyone. I'll, live with the consequences of other people. Again, like, it wasn't 100% her fault,
No,
but
no.
yeah, I never said anything to her.
Okay, I have so many questions. First
Yeah.
question, the raise, did it ever happen? Did the
It did
conversation change?
eventually, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, I did get promoted within the organization. I just don't remember exactly the timing.
How yeah, it certainly didn't play out the way you thought it would.
No.
No, exactly.
And I think
Um,
that was the first time I'd ever asked for a raise.
right, I was
So,
gonna and that was my second question was, so when in your career was this? Was this pretty early on?
yeah, so this was my second, like, organization that I worked for.
Got
So,
it.
probably about 4 to 5 years. I guess 4 of my first organization. So, it would have been 5-ish years into my nonprofit career.
Okay, because when I met you, and before I met you in person, obviously, like I follow you in LinkedIn and I read your posts, I have like sort of embodied your spirit as like, what would Cindy do? Because she's brave. Like the way that you speak and present yourself and you stand up for other
Thank
people.
you.
I really am inspired by the way that's why, I said you're a no nonsense businesswoman. You don't seem to take any nonsense, but I feel like many of us, especially many of us who are women in our early phases of our careers really do just say like, it's fine. I'll take the brunt of whatever's coming. I'll make everyone else happy at, the expense of my own happiness and health. And when at some, like, clearly at some point, something shifted. So is there anything like
Yeah.
that helped that process to get you to like, no, I'm not going to stay silent anymore. Like, I'm going to start to speak.
Yeah. I had a boss that I thought was, like, my biggest champion. I used to call her my work mom. Yeah, because she kinda reminded me of my mom, and they had similar personalities, and she would always be like, "Oh, I'm gonna give you this opportunity. I'm gonna put you in this room. I'm gonna position you for this, promotion, da da da." And I really felt like she cared about me and, my growth and opportunities. Like, she felt like a real champion. when gave notice at the job, now I was working full time. I
Mhm.
had a 3-year-old and like a 6-month-old.
Okay.
And this is when I started consulting. And so I took on this consulting contract. Um, it was 3 days a week, working remotely, and it paid me more for those 3 days than I was making full time in this other job.
Wow.
Okay. Now, what an amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
And she took it as a betrayal.
Really.
I don't want to say hated me for it because I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she did not support me at all. And at that moment, I realized like, even the people who look like they support you, at the end of the day, you never know. I don't want to say no one supports you, but you just never know. And at that point, I was like, nope, I got to prioritize myself. I got to make sure that like that I put myself first. And so that was a bit of a turning point for me, just in terms of like, you never know. People always have their own agenda.
In my later stages of life in my
Mhm.
career, I always thought that, looking out for number one was selfish, right? Like people who
Mm,
do that aren't team players or, they're only self-serving. And I really have come to realize that you can look out for number one whilst still supporting other people. But if you're not going to look out for you with a fierce outlook, nobody else will. Like you said, even the ones who you think will
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
won't when it comes down to it. And it's not selfish to prioritize your own needs because that's what, frankly, pretty much everybody else is doing, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And for most of us, when we prioritize our own needs, it actually allows us to show up better for everyone else,
correct. Yeah.
right? We all know the like, put your mask on before you help
Yeah.
someone else when you're flying. It's kind of like that, right? Like, the more we position ourselves for the success that we want, the
Yep.
more we can help other people be successful.
100%. Yeah. One of my favorite, sayings, it might be cliche, but is you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it really is when you are healthy and sane, right? And all these things, then you can show up. And quite frankly, the way that I've felt you have shown up for me and many other women probably is like to read and hear about these experiences that you went through and how you refused to, first of all, be defined by them, and second of all, be scared away by them because nonprofit work is hard. Like nobody is going to say that it's not, right? That's actually worked in it.
Yeah.
And you could have easily been like, you know what? I've given so much of myself. I could just call it at this point and be fine. But you didn't. And what you've done is not only changed your life, but it's changed the lives of so many. But thank you so much for being here today. I'm actually going to throw out a little tease for the Nonprofit Diaries Family Network because, like I said, Cindy's been doing this for a while. She's got more than one story. We had to do one story for this episode, but we're going to stick around and talk about a few other stories, and that will come in a later episode. So stay tuned for that. For all of you listening, this is your reminder to hydrate and practice self-care. And if it helps, you'd like to be on the podcast, there is a link in the description so you can submit your own diary entry. We'll chat, we'll have you on the podcast. It'll be great. I hope to hear from all of you. But until next time, Cindy, thank you for being here, and we'll see everyone on the next episode.